Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at the Jada Toys Megaman Woodman figure. Woodman first appeared in the video game Mega Man 2, which was released in 1988 or 89, somewhere in there. Created by Dr. Wily, their designation number is DWN-016. His body is made almost completely out of natural Japanese cypresses, including his internal mechanisms along with a thin coating of metal. He has a great strength and resistance against physical attacks, but is slow and highly vulnerable to fire and cutting attacks. His special weapon is the Leaf Shield, made of ceratanium, ceramic titanium, that is durable and able to withstand heavy impact. They are levitated by using electromagnetism, and apparently he is one of Dr. Wily's favorites based on the amount of times he's been called into action. He's kind to animals, loves nature, hiking, mountaineering, dislikes people who harm nature and are easily offended. His primary weakness is atomic fire, and the majority of this comes from megaman.fandom.com. The box looks cool. Jada always does a good job with their stuff. Pretty simple, but we're not here to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Woodman. All right, so fresh out the box, this thing looks fantastic. I am a big fan of Woodman and the Mega Man line in general, and I've been loving what Jada's been doing with them, and this is another one where I think they've nailed it. He looks so cool, and I love how big he is. Like, I love how he's got a little portly look to him, which is, in line with the design, but it just takes on a different form sort of in my head with it being tactile, with me being able to hold him in my hands. And I absolutely love this. This looks so cool. The wood, the way they did the wood is really neat because it has I don't know the proper term for it, but divots into the wood to where it kind of is approximating a somewhat woodsy feel, to where it's not just oh, that's the color of wood and here's some stripes or some lines to indicate that it's wood, but there's some divots in the actual armor pieces that are simulating real wood. Now, it doesn't feel like it in the sense of the graininess or anything like that, but it definitely is a different feel, at least to me, than the rest of the gray parts on his armor, and that's really awesome. I really dig that, and it's a subtle thing. And then the rings on his head, on the top of his head, oh, that is excellent. I absolutely love that. Oh, it's also on the side where he has the protruding branch that's coming out. You see the rings there too. That's excellent. I mean, this is just a great design in general from the source material, but Jada brought it to life, and this is really awesome. The thing that weirded me out though is that I forgot that he has two regular hands. He doesn't necessarily have an energy cannon. I mean, I think you basically just take out the hand and that's what his energy cannon is. And then on the bottom, they have the little lights that a lot of the other Mega Man villain figures have had, and I think Mega Man has it too. Different colored lights or boosters at the bottom of the feet, which are really cool. And his have the same kind of beige internal color as the top of his head, and that's awesome. I love that so much. Now, the things on the back are really cool because it kind of reminds you that this is a robot a little bit. So he's got a ventilation shaft and some other minor robotic kind of things, like the thing on his head, the little yellow grid pad, something, whatever that is. But the ventilation shaft is really neat, and I like that juxtaposition. And in fact, the whole character I love because of the juxtaposition of the natural elements with the scientific and the roboticness of this character. I totally dig that. One thing that I am seeing on mine is that mine has a little divot in its right arm, which is kind of that kind of sucks, but it's minor and you don't really see it unless the light hits it a certain way. So it's not that big of a complaint, but still, that's what we're here talking about toys and reviewing them. So might as well, have them under a microscope, might as well talk about the stuff you're seeing. So there's that, but I don't think that should be a problem on everyone's. That might just be mine. Still something to mention. He has a nice heft to him. He feels substantial, and yeah, he just looks really cool and solid. I love the yellow and the grays and the beige. Just all the colors just work so well together. And yeah, I think this is just excellent in my opinion so far. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the accessories. All right, so Woodman comes with a leaf shield effect, 2 heads, 4 hands, and an effect stand. A lot of the research I did showed that the stats were listed as unknown for this character and a lot of the Robot Masters, but some DeviantArt folks list him at standing around 5'4". However, this figure stands around 5 inches tall and weighs around 8 ounces. Now let's see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here he is with Jada Toys Megaman and Funko's Dr. Wily. Here he is with Jada Toys Fireman and Iceman. Here he is with Jada Toys Cutman and Elecman, whatever you want to do. Here he is with Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat Baraka and NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nickelodeon 2012 Michelangelo. Here he is with Hasbro's Marvel Legends Gamerverse Psylocke and SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Black. Here he is with NECA's Alf and Jada Toys Street Fighter DJ. Here he is with Hasbro's Fortnite Meowscles and Figma's Link. Here he is with Hasbro's G.I. Joe Classified Big Lob and McFarlane's DC Multiverse Professor Pig. And here he is with Mattel's DC Universe Classics Collect and Connect Kilowog and Marvel Select Colossus. Woodman was one of the first Robot Masters that comes to mind anytime Mega Man is brought up. I totally loved his level and character design. It was simple and ridiculous and just totally worked. But I think I especially loved the leaf shield. Something about being able to make leaves bounce around and protect you and then also use them as a projectile. I absolutely ate that up. And when this line was first announced, he was one of my most wanted characters from the jump. And here we are. And I think Jada did a fantastic job yet again with this line, and more specifically with Woodman. Again, I really love the look, the feel, the weight of this figure. All of it, just like I said at the beginning, just really still works here at the end of this review. And I could not get enough of this figure. I had so much fun playing with and posing this figure with different shots and everything like that. I just had a blast doing it that I almost forgot that I needed to eventually wrap it up and get this review done finally. I have like next to no complaints. I don't even think I have really any complaints. Besides the blemishes that I saw early on, which is definitely going to be different from figure to figure. I doubt that they all have the same indentation on the right arm. But, you know, those were some minor things I had to mention. But everything else as far as the execution of this figure is like top notch. And again, just had a blast with this figure. He looks so cool. And I kind of wish he had more heads, because like I was having so much fun with how expressive the two that we have are, that I was getting a ton of cool shots with him. And, you know, I kind of just want more of that. But that is also to say that I was able to do a lot with what we do have here with this figure. So yeah, the articulation is great. You know, he's got like pretty much every articulation point you would want out of an action figure in today's day and age. And I didn't have any parts where I was playing with him and wished that I could get him in a certain way that I couldn't. So that's always a big plus in my book. He's got great balance like a lot of the figures do in this line. So you can have him, you know, posed very dynamically and he'll still maintain that pose while you're like getting your camera ready or whatnot. And so I really enjoyed that. And yeah, really, I don't really have any dislikes about this figure. I would have maybe liked to have had some more leaf accessories, but that's a nitpick. And yeah, maybe just some more heads, but like this is standard for what we get with Jada, and I'm happy with what we got. It's just that I just want more Woodman. And so I was able to get him in a ton of different fun shots with different lines of action figures. I think he's definitely going to go well with the Jada line, the Mega Man line from Jada. Absolutely works really well with them, even though he doesn't have the same shine that some of the other figures do. And I kind of love that because it looks like they're different material, and it like still works as far as like the sculpt and the art style as, by design. But the fact that it hits the light differently and has a different feel to it makes it feel special and different, especially considering that he is a slightly bigger figure than like a character like Iceman or Cutman. And I really dig that because there's a little bit of diversity, but it's still unified enough in the look and the design that I just really like that it stands out, but it's also uniform is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know, there's something about the yellow that's really registering with me, and it's only on, the back of his head, his shoulders, his elbows, and his wrists, and then his knees and the little parts under his feet, which sounds like a lot. And I guess if you count them individually, it probably is, but they're not the predominant stuff. They're more like, an accessory color. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but something about that is just doing wonders for me. And I know that it is the design of the character, how he was on the game and everything, but I just think Jada nailed it here and really did a fantastic job yet again in this line. I was able, again, like I said, to get him into a ton of fun shots with different characters that were wood associated, like if they have like a knife or if they've got claws and they're like, slicing at him and whatnot. And I got Casey Jones like coming at him with the chainsaw. Like, I had so much fun with this figure. I like I said, I just couldn't put him down. And so I think that's a testament to a great action figure. And yeah, I here at the end, I don't really have any complaints. I think this is a great figure. You'll get him to work with the Mega Man line. You'll get him to work with your video game lines will more than likely work with him. And then I think that branch of Mega Man working in Smash as well as Marvel vs. Capcom, I think there's that bridge there, so you'll be able to get some Street Fighter figures to work with him, as well as some Marvel Legends. And to be honest, I didn't have any issue with any figures that I was trying to make work with him, at least to my recollection. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the finish on his armor parts and just his overall finish in the paint department, that it's not super shiny. I think that goes a long way to help him fit in with different action figure lines. And so your mileage is going to vary with that, obviously, depending on what you collect and what you're trying to do. But from my experience taking these photos, I didn't really run into any issues. And again, I had a blast with him. So yeah. And so, yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say about this figure at all. I am a huge fan of this figure, and I think Jada knocked it out of the park with this one yet again. So if you collect video game figures, then he's been in a few, so you can't go wrong here. If you collect Mega Man figures, this is a great one for the collection and just cool on its own, like Woodman. I don't know. Something about it's just cool. Maybe that's just me. If you collect characters who weaponize nature, he definitely does that. Or if you or someone you love has a fondness for woodsmen, then Woodman is sure to kindle any shelf or hearth, but like in a good way. I don't even know if I said that the right way. But regardless, I think you or someone you love will dig this figure. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. And if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments who's your favorite Robot Master and who do you hope Jada gets to next. Let me know in the comments. And until then, else time.